There are a few key things you need to evaluate in this round. The first argument that they are answering in the 2-1-R is that even if VAWA specifically is a bad idea, we still usually vote for us to begin the discussion in order to politicize things that are currently rendered to the private realm and are not considered to be important within the political realm. Our evidence indicates that in the status quo we have to do things in order to take action to open up these discussions. Also, any reason why our form of debate is specifically good is a reason why you should not vote for the negative and instead should prefer the affirmative because our form of debate all of our offense to why our debate our form of debate is good is a reason why their alternative is necessarily a bad idea. Now, on the frame of debate, here are the key arguments. First of all, regardless of plain action, our form of debate is good because it allows for empowerment through open discussion, oppression, and role playing. This allows us to understand the experience of the oppressed and the oppressor, which enables us to find methods for resistance. The alternative necessarily does not do this. It simply says we have to play the roles of ourselves. We do not play the roles of anyone else. We instead play the roles of the oppressor, play our own experiences. Our evidence indicates that we necessarily have to take a stance to someone else's experience in order to be able to understand the oppression that goes on in the status quo, or the motivations for oppression, or be able to ever try and mobilize against this oppression. Their alternative results in complete inaction, and all we do is sit around and talk about the ways in which we are oppressed, and the ways in which the world is hurting us, rather than stepping out and trying to take action or trying to politicize these things. Also, we can pull across the code and the Carlson Amendment to discussing things like international law and public policy are essential to ever effectuating political change or ever actually affecting the world around us. Rather than just sitting back and talking about the things that have happened to us, we instead should role play and should talk about public policy, which is necessary in order to be able to address the world that affects us and take on responsibility for our own agency. The government necessarily denies it. Also, they can see that our affirmative is a prerequisite to their alternative, which means that you have to go after in order to be able to access their alternative. Means because we're the only way to create the kind of spaces that would be necessary in order to have these theaters of oppression that they advocate. The only argument they make in the framework fully, which is not responsive, that they are an instance of role playing. Our evidence indicates that their specific instance of role playing is rather than being an open instance of role playing is instead just another method in which we relegate people to the private realm. They don't have any response to any of these arguments. You can grant them full, but you can pull across the Carlson and the co-evidence specifically now on theater repressed. You can pull across my argument from the 2AC, which indicates that they're currently relegated into the private realm. The way in which they set up these theaters of the oppressed make it so that it is a private problem. That's all supported by the Campbell evidence that I read you in the 2AC, which indicates that when we only advocate our own specific experiences, we are allowed to speak with the experiences of others, or to speak out for those who are disenfranchised or disempowered. Necessarily makes it impossible for us to ever have any kind of interconnection, and it doesn't allow for us to get outside the idea of the public-private and to get outside of the ideas of the international system as it exists in the status quo. The affirmative is the only option in order to be able to escape these things because the alternative simply allows for us to remain within these story realms and not to challenge the ideas that we're not an important part of the political realm. In fact, the affirmative is the only way to challenge that notion. They say we provide catharsis, but this argument is offensive. We can effectuate change within this mirror, and our discussion is important. The discussion of these things brings violence into the public realm within this debate round. It makes it possible for us to initiate this discussion, and that's a unique and independent reason why you should vote affirmative in face of any of their assurances as to why VAWA necessarily is a bad idea. They don't have any reasons why we have to defend the specific outcomes of VAWA, and we've been defending throughout the round that our specific framework for the debate is a good way of approaching it. They don't have any offense against the arguments why their particular framework is a good thing in the 2-1-R. Now you can pull across these. They necessarily would make it impossible for us to ever speak out against sources of oppression if we are not ourselves specifically oppressed. And also, it indicates that we have an ethical responsibility as people who are of a privileged voice to speak out against oppression. People who are not privileged and who are not allowed to speak out in the public forums in which we are allowed to do so. We have a response. If they don't have any response to this argument, they simply say that we are a setting solution for them. We speak in their place, but that's simply not true. We necessarily just open up space within the public forums in order for them to be able to speak for themselves. But the debate has to be initiated by forms of our privileged resistance. They don't have any way of accessing this with their alternative because they don't have any way of opening up these spaces through their theater of the oppression. They don't have any reason as to why they can access this open space, and instead they necessarily reduce themselves to actually the private realm. They don't have any interaction with the legal government. They also don't pull across any of their arguments as to why they can solve for our case the way the entirety of the affirmative, the gender oppression is bad against their alternative, because they don't have any way that they can ever get to political action, which the candidate describes as being specifically key. We have to make specific political prescriptions. Now on the solvency debate. They pull across these double-blind arguments, how Obama necessarily gives a double-blind. That's all I sort of talk about how the outcomes of Obama specifically aren't necessarily bad. Also, all the links they're articulating are based off a ruling based on the Commerce Clause. We do not use the Commerce Clause. We rule nice. You can look at the plaintiffs' arguments being sent to the throne. They don't have any response to this. We use human rights in order to justify the decision, not monetary value, which is where all the arguments are predicated off of. Also, their rape hierarchization argument or assumes status quo, not the situation underneath the Obama, or the situation that would come out post-implementation of our plan, post-discussion that would occur post our plan, which indicates that the VAWA necessarily makes it possible for people who are victims of marital rape to be able to come out and make a distinction between types of rape, and all gender oppression is bad.